Jimmy Butler, he actually spoke with the media today. So there's a little bit of percolation still when it comes to Jimmy. I saw Brian Windhorst today on Get Up. He said that Golden State has their sights set on Jimmy Butler, which I believe would mean Kamunga.
Kaminga.
I don't know. I got it written down somewhere here.
Zamunda.
Kuminga.
Yeah,
Warriors.
Kamunga.
Dylan Brooks for the Rockets. I have my notes from yesterday.
And then
it's something going on.
There's definitely
ESPN's reporting it. Solana's crazy. It's something going on.
And Jimmy himself talked about, like, they asked Jimmy today, would you want to spend your entire career in Miami? He's been adamant about that before, and he said, I don't know.
Yeah, it's what it is.
But I would say, and we could play the clip there, but I would say there's a difference between reading a quote and listening to it.
Okay. Well, do you have it?
I do. I would say I think Jimmy Butler is Jimmy Butler when he gets in front of reporters and cameras, which you guys would agree, sometimes he is known to just say things because he doesn't want to answer questions. And I think you read the quote and you're like, oh, wow. But then you listen to it and you're like, all right, kind of makes sense, kind of tracks.
Because admittedly, I have not heard it. I've only read it. No. So which part is this? This is Ira Winderman asking him if he wants to stay in Miami?
This is the first part of Jimmy's practice press conference today. You're going to hear Ira Winderman. First question to what Jimmy responds here is, his thoughts on everything that has happened over the last 24 hours.
I actually like it. It's good to be talked about. I don't think there's a such thing as like bad publicity to a point. But somebody talking about me getting traded, that's a lot.
It is a lot, but obviously you're in a situation contractually. You have an opt-out after the year. There's a trade deadline within 2 months. Starting Sunday, players become eligible to be traded. Can you appreciate that? And do you understand that it might be this way now for a little while?
It's fine with me. It doesn't bother me not one bit. And I do appreciate it. I appreciate going out there and hooping. I appreciate being efficient, being effective, and helping my team win. I appreciate it all. I don't ever take playing basketball for anybody for granted.
Where do you stand as far as long-term future, hopefully otherwise, with the Miami?
Who knows?
Where do you stand long-term future when it comes to your contract? You were told us earlier in the year that money doesn't matter, but money seems to always matter.
Not really. My kids matter. My happiness matters. My well-being matters, and my family matters. Right now, it's all about competing, staying healthy, playing some great basketball. I think I've done that so far, so we'll see what we got.
All right. It's very conversational. Doesn't, because we've seen Jimmy Butler cause a stink before, and that ain't it. Like, we've seen that before. We know. We
don't know. Okay. Yeah, maybe so. It doesn't matter. We can do it. Like, it's no distinct side he's taking at all.
You read the quote and you say, oh, Jimmy Butler says, who knows about his future? But then you listen to it, and I just think it isn't the same way it reads. We've seen Jimmy. I mean, we know his past where he's going 8 bleep on an organization because he wants out. So if he truly does,
I don't think he wants out here, though.
Right, but I'm just saying, if he did, right? If he's saying, I don't know,
you'd know it. You'd know it. He doesn't hide that.
Yeah, but I don't think it's nasty like in Philly, or it's nasty. What was it, Minnesota? I don't think it's getting nasty. Yeah, I think it's just he respects Pat enough, and the organization where it makes sense for me to leave and go to a contending team. They want me. I want to go contend, and we can save a lot of money and move forward and rebuild this. This core of this team. I think it's a very nice breakup if it's happening.
I feel the same way I do today, listening to all of Jimmy's press conference or his practice availability as I did yesterday. Not that he can't be traded. I wasn't meaning to tell you guys, hey, Jimmy's not going anywhere. I just don't think, and I understand why a Shams report on ESPN makes this bigger news than it was, but I don't think anything has changed. Jimmy Butler, at this point of his career, would he be happy in Miami? Sure. He told us, I would love to stay in Miami. Would he like to go contend and win a title somewhere? Absolutely. And if that's not in Miami, like you've been saying, Crowder, it's in both parties' best interest to work on something. And I think maybe Shams got a report from an owner.
I do think something's changed, and here's how I think that it changed. I think maybe the Heat were approached in the offseason. Would you be open to trading Jimmy?
We know they were.
But maybe the answer then was no until 20 games are played.
Right.
And then we can reassess. I keep using that 20 point because at 20, well, I think they were 10-10. And like, it was really the last couple of games where you're like, oh, wait a second. Right. You don't want to shake this up at all. But I do feel something may have changed where, hey, the door was not open because we made a conscious decision to run it back this season, and we're going to watch through 20 games. That gives us at least a fair time to analyze whether we think we can make a run at Milwaukee and Boston and maybe they came to the realization that, well, we're good when we're all playing together, but there still is a ceiling. And so let's hear your best offer.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the only thing that's changed.
Right.
We think we might hear offers after 20 games, 15 games, whatever. Now, like, make us your best offer. We'll consider it. Where before it was, don't make us any offer. We're not considering anything right now.
Yeah, and to me, that's fair. But again, Andy Ellisberg or Pat Riley picking up a phone and having a conversation with another general manager is not the same as Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg themselves picking up the phone and actively pursuing a trade for Jimmy Butler.
I don't think that, right. I don't think anyone ever intimated that, though.
But no, not you two, but I think that is the general consensus right now. Jimmy Butler is on the trade block.
I didn't take it that way. Right. I didn't take it that way.
And I think to that rationale, if another team calls and Andy picks up the phone and they say, hey, we want Bam, he's hanging up on them.
Right.
They call and say, we want Jimmy, knowing the situation we spoke about. Okay, let me call you back in 5 minutes. I'm going to go to Pat's office.
They're picking up the phone. Right. They're picking up the phone.
Yes. I think right now Tyler's playing. We were trying to trade Tyler 2 years ago. What the place Tyler's playing now?
I still think with him, you got to sell high and you might have an opportunity. Like, if they've had designs on trading him for 3 or 4 years, this happens to be the exact moment that you would do it.
No joke, though, Hawk. I don't think that's going to happen. But if the Heat do decide to kick the tires on Jimmy Butler and to go and get assets from the Houston Rockets, who right now
get more for Tyler.
Well, no, I mean you're kind of punting on this core, aren't you?
Correct.
And if that's the case, and Crowder, you've been saying Bam and them, you want to build around Bam. You want to entice another whale to come play with Bam, which we know is very much a possibility. Then maybe that is in the Heat. I'm not saying it is, but it's definitely worth considering. Do we have to totally rebuild here? And maybe that is getting rid of your best player.
Enough of that. We've talked plenty of Jimmy Butler and Heat over the last couple of days. I want to talk. Adam Beasley wrote a column for Pro Football Network. Put Tua Tagovailoa in the MVP conversation after saving the Dolphins season.